Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning in as we go through how to find one quantity as a percent of another. So I just want you to be aware, in previous video, we went through how to find a percent of a quantity, like 30% of 40. Now, in that case, we already knew the percentage. We knew that we want to find 30% of 40. In this case, the question is slightly different because we want to find the percent. We know the two quantities, but we don't know the percent. So we do it slightly differently than how we did it in the previous video. And you will need to know when to use which method. So we're going to do questions like this. We'll start off with a really easy question. So let's say I took a test, and let's say I scored on that test 56 out of 80. Okay, so I want to convert this into a percent. I want to find what is my mark as a percent. Well, this is actually very simple. What we will have is some sort of fraction, and we just convert that to a percentage like we did in the video for a few lessons ago. So you just follow this. So you have the first quantity, whatever that might be, divided by the second quantity. So we turn it into a fraction. And then remember, the way we convert a fraction to a percent is we times by 100. And I'm just going to write times by 100% to indicate to you that our answer is a percent. So if I scored 56 out of 80 in a test, I just write that as a fraction. 56 out of 80, first quantity over second quantity, times by 100. So again, you can use our calculator to do this, or we can use pen and paper. If I'm going to do pen and paper, what I'm going to do is simplify the first fraction if I can. So 56 and 80 both have a common factor of 8. So 8 goes into 56 7 times, goes into 80 10 times. So I've got 7 over 10 times 100. 10 goes into itself once, it goes into 100 10 times. I'm just left with 7 times 10, which is 70%. So if you score 56 out of 80 in a test, you've scored 70%. Okay, so make sure when you're doing these calculations, particularly by hand, you have some idea of what the answer should be. So if I scored 56 out of 80, you know that the answer should be more than 50% because I've got more than half the marks. You know it should be quite a bit less than 100% because I missed out on it. And so 70% sounds about right, okay? If I got the answer for this as like 200% or 40%, you can tell straight away that I've done something wrong. So make sure you're not just, doing this mindlessly. You've got to make sure that your answer actually makes sense, okay? So that's pretty easy, and again, it's something you probably already learned. So we're going to now look at using this in financial maths to calculate percentage change. So I've got this question here. A shirt originally sold for $75, now sells for $45, and we're going to calculate the percentage discount. So clearly, if it was $75 and is now $45, the discount amount is $30. So if you saw that at a shop, the tag would say you saved $30, okay? So now we just have to figure out what $30 is as a percent of $75. So again, we don't know the percent. We're finding one quantity as a percent of another. So $30 out of $75, it's less than half. It's a little less than half. So we're going to guess, it's going to be around the 40% mark. That's what our answer should be. So we're not going to do anything different here than we did previously. We have first quantity divided by second quantity, 30 out of 75, and we just convert that to a percent by timesing by 100. So again, can use our calculator, can use our head. So 30, 5 goes into 30 6 times, it goes into 75 15 times. So we can also cancel with 100, 5 goes into 15 3 times, it goes into 100 20 times, and of course 3 goes into itself once and 6 twice. That's just how you do it. by using pen and paper. So we're just left with 2 times 20, which is 40. Our answer is a percent. So if I was selling something for $75, I discount it to $45, that is a 40% discount. Okay, easy as. And that's what we thought the answer would be. It's got to be a bit less than half, because $30 is a bit less than half of $75. All right, let's look at another question. So let's have a look at this question here. So I make a bottle of cologne for $85. I sell each of them for $220, and I'm going to find my profit as a percentage of both the cost price and the selling price. So as I said in a previous video, cost price is what it costs the business to buy or make it. So if it costs me $85 a bottle to make, that's the cost price. The selling price is what the customers actually pay for, how much I sell it for. So $220 is the selling price. Now, of course, because the selling price is greater than the cost price, I made a profit. If you sell an item for more than it costs you, that's a profit. If, on the other hand, you sold it for less than what it costs you, then that would be a loss. So the amount of profit I've made is just $220 minus $85. So that's just $135. So I'm going to find what that is as a percentage of the cost price first. Cost price was 85. So I want to find what percentage 135 is of 85. So I just want to make sure that you understand this point. I don't always put the greater number on the bottom. Sometimes it goes on top. So if I want to find what this is as a percent of that, this is my first quantity. So I want to find 135 out of 85, if you like, and convert that to a percent. So this time, the bigger number is on top of the fraction. Okay? Now this isn't an easy fraction for you to be able to convert into a percentage. You know, I can divide top and bottom by 5. I get 27 over 17. So that's a very hard one. You know, dividing by 17, you know, isn't really easy at all. So I don't mind at all if you use your calculator for this one. So after you put that into your calculator, you should get this symbol. Remember, means approximately 159%. So that's a profit of approximately 159%. That means that I sold the item for more than double what it costs to make. Okay, so now that was the first one. That's a percentage of the cost price as a percent of the selling price. So the profit 135, the selling price is 220, and again I times by 100. So this again is not an easy one to be able to do in your head, so you can use a calculator for that. You get approximately 61, I'm going to round this to one decimal place, 61.4%. So that means I've made a profit of approximately 61.4% of the selling price. I've made a profit of about 159% of the cost price. All right, hope you've enjoyed this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.